go in exactly, or do the race in exactly the manner she has prepared mentally. Regina Ermitz starting with bib number 2, hunting down Elvira Öberg, one of the best biathletes Sweden has produced. Ermitz, a sharp shooter, particularly good with Zakina Rene of Estonia in the short races, and is now going to be charging up this hill. She'll be able to see Elvira Öberg, but once again, the focus will be on following her own process. And very few know better than to follow their own process than Lisa Vitozzi. The Loop 1 Festival, she started right at the back in the mass start. That's having not done the season before and therefore not got the points to get herself towards the front of that order. And she ran her own race, got to the front, perfect shooting, and claimed just the most amazing victory. What a comeback and what a start to the season for her. Emma Nielsen, great to see her on the start line with a very low heartbeat, 95 beats per minute. Calm, collected, and she will be hunting for a great result today and a position on the Swedish team, a position which is going to be very hard fought, particularly for the women. They have a lot of biathletes wanting to make their mark and get on to the World Cup, but it's not going to be easy with so many big names hoping to be medal contenders. Janine Heitisfalds of Germany, a short, sharp skate 1 leading into skate 2 as she dances out of the start gates. So she's about to take a curved left-hander into the uphill, which is a very gradual incline to the high point of this course, which just doubles back on itself. And a nice long recovery right down through to alongside the shooting range as Anastasia Markushnia of Ukraine is getting on underway. The Ukrainians, of course, fielding an A team here with biathletes who have done fantastic in the past. We have Dimitreko of Ukraine, who's one to look out for. She finished in 4th place last year. Markushnia starting in 7th, or Selina Grosjean, I should say, starting with bib number 7. She gets started and is another contender for a potential win here. One to look out for. She really came to notoriety with a fantastic season start, well, World Cup debut in Oslo some years ago, where she was racing on IBU Cup. She was competing at the junior level, had great success there, and then was introduced to the World Cup towards the end of the season. Alexandra Markushnia, as I said, in the sprint in 2024 here at the Swedish season opener. She finished in 4th place in the sprint, and that was after having finished in 6th place in the individual. Ella Halvorsson, wearing bib number 9. She is one among many, as you can see, who are not wearing the Swedish team, but who will be contending to be on the Swedish A team. The stakes are high, the positions are few, and the competitors all wishing for a spot on that Swedish team are many. As she dances skate 2 up towards the Volkswagen archway, which precedes the long, gentle incline. Lind of Sweden making her start to the race here. And as you can see, or as you will see, the transition point where the athletes come through alongside the shooting range and will be meeting the athletes who are going out the start gates. So Hannah Öberg now gets herself underway. The start of her season is going to be a big stake moment, high pressure, But she is just one of those names that is almost certainly going to make it onto the A team. There almost can't be a scenario where that doesn't unfold. But she is just consistently, year after year, producing the most amazing results for the Swedish team. Hanna Öberg, 12th overall in the World Cup standings. And in the World Championships, taking gold medal in Oberhof in 2023. Pyeongchang, gold medal. World Championship also soon, gold medal. So much success to her name. Anna Magnusson also pulling out remarkable results, often, sometimes lacking the consistency across an entire season. But when she is in good form, she is in absolutely fantastic form. Magnusson winning the short individual last year here, second place last year in the short individual. This race, Elvira Öberg right behind her. Of course, there was more shooting then than there is now today. But an advantage now as Hanna Öberg is in behind Elvira Öberg, her sister, managing to do some fortunate pacing there where they can work together to some degree as Marlene Fichtner gets underway for Germany. And Fichtner, a fantastic shot. Lynn Jesblom, formerly known as Lynn Parson before she got married, but was out last season with a shoulder injury and is now back for vengeance and hopefully going to be making her stamp on this race and her impression on the selection committee as to whether she can make it right up to the top at the highest standard where she has been so often. Vitozzi 4 seconds behind Elvira's time at the 2.7 kilometer checkpoint. She is easing her way into this race and is so calm, as she made clear. Her process is, first and foremost, the most important part of her racing philosophy. Lisa Vitozzi winning the Loop 1 Festival, saying she just trusts her process. And those are more than just words. Vanessa Voigt of Germany, a fantastic shot. Excellent at the individual 4 shoot races, particularly in Pyeongchang at the Olympics, pulling out a fantastic result. Janina Heitisvalt only 1 second down at the 2.7 kilometer mark. Second fastest time to this point so far, behind Elvira Öberg, who's marked a 6 minutes and 9 seconds to this point in the race. That's after having completed 1 loop and then another top half of the loop. But a lovely start to the season as well with this terrain. There's no monster climbs. Of course, no climb is an easy climb, but there are some on the biathlon circuit which are harder than others. As Julia Tannheimer of Germany is about to get started, priorities, she presses the start on her watch just before she gets underway to collect all the data she possibly can. Another fantastic shooter, as is more and more being said about the Germans, who seem to be cracking the code, particularly in the women's field, for shooting fantastically. And on the subject of shooting, Elvira Öberg is about to come in to the shooting range where the wind flags are blustery. She takes a look, a glance. It's all she needs to mark, in her mind, whether the wind flags are different to when she zeroed or not. It's still. Relaxed elbow position. A few breaths before the first shot, and the first shot is a hit in 13.2 seconds. Plenty time between the first and second shot. She is taking her time, but the first three go down, and she misses the fourth shot. And she gets the fifth shot. Fantastic first three. 31.4 seconds is not the quickest shoot, and with one mistake, she is not going to enjoy the 25 seconds that are added to her time today. But with being such a fast skier, she's not going to be too afraid of how that will impact her overall results. But of course, today is not just about the position that these athletes finish in for some. It's about measuring oneself against the other competitors in the field, such as Lisa Fatozzi, who really is the one to watch for many for Olympic medals this Winter Olympics. Milano Cortina. Relax, getting her elbow right underneath her rifle. And she makes a 3 clicks to the left, adjusting for a changed wind condition. The first shot goes down in 17.8 seconds. The second follows with only 2.6 seconds between them, but perhaps the third came with too much haste. It does not go down. 4 out of 5 for Lisa Fatozzi. A 25-second penalty added to her time, but she looks very relaxed as she comes down out of the shooting range with Ermits on her heels, enjoying the ability to track her around this course, as Janina Heitisch-Walz of Germany comes in with an impressive time. She makes adjustments to her sights as well, so it does appear that consistently the wind conditions are changing. She moved 2 clicks to the left and hit the first target, missing the second and the fourth. It's not a good start, and that's the final target. Unfortunately for Janina Heitisch-Walz, has not gone down. That is 3 mistakes, and not a good start to the season for Heitisch-Walz, with now, forgive my math, 1 minute and 15 seconds added to her time. Coming out of shoot number 1, Elvira Öberg, with 1 mistake, has the fastest time, and hitting all the targets. Emma Nielsen is in second place, 4.7 seconds behind, so Elvira Öberg skiing very quickly. But now, taking a look at Lynn Gesblom, who's coming towards the 2.7 mark, 18.4 seconds off the lead time, Hannah Öberg's time. Quite a significant margin just after 2.7 kilometers, which does beg the question, how is her form? And so much remains to be told by the rest of the race, as Selina Gautian, one of the highest ranked racers, has missed her first shot, hit her second, but then decided to make some adjustments to her sight. And she hits the remaining 4 targets. Only 1 mistake for Selina Gautian, but the biathletes now consistently moving the sights to the left, adjusting for what appears to be a lesser or a less strong wind than it was when they zeroed, so the conditions have calmed. Ella Halversson skiing well, and so far shooting fast, but missing the third shot, and you can see the time adjusting in the moment, putting her down the order, but she gets 4 hits out of 5 as Hannah Öberg makes her way onto the mat. Composed rifle drills, the elbow coming across her body and underneath the rifle. Quite a tall, prone position. 14 seconds to the first shot. It's quick shooting. 4 are down. Great start. Hannah Öberg, 5 out of 5. The targets seem to fall down with ease, and she looks composed. She has a massive lead now, 38 seconds ahead of her sister Elvira Öberg, who of course had mistakes in the shooting. One mistake in the shooting, so she's shot faster and is skiing faster than Elvira, currently in second place. So a big margin now for Hannah Öberg, and that is with so many big names having already been through. But Elvira Öberg now, a big pressure moment, comes in for her stand. The first two go down. 4 out of 4 for the stand shooting, and 5 out of 5. That's 9 out of 10 for Elvira Öberg. Fantastic shooting. She is now on the charge. She has to claw back time, and much will be told about how she has paced this race by how fast she can attack this final lap. As Anna Magnusson, she settles down for her prone shooting, but 9 out of 10 is really fantastic for Elvira Öberg. Great shooting for Anna Magnusson, as she gets the first 4 but fails to get the 5th. Anna Magnusson, as I said, fantastic in this race in 2023 in the short individuals, claiming the victory on that occasion, and also claiming the victory in 2024. So is quite consistently up there in this race, performing to a very high level, and it's all going to come in very quickly now as Lisa Vitozzi settles onto the mat for stand shooting. First target goes down, but she has a little bit of trouble with the loading of the round into the chamber. Doesn't let that phase her. 4 go down, the 5th goes down, and fantastic shooting for Lisa Vitozzi. 9 out of 10. We will see how she compares in ski speed to Elvira Öberg with the same shooting score. A good start, 90%, as Lene Gesblom, she is in, skiing slower up until this point in the race, but manages to get all 5 targets. She needed those. And it will be interesting to see, how is Lynn pacing herself? How is her form? We didn't get to see her last season, but we have seen her on the podium at some major competitions, particularly in the team events. And Emma Nielsen, who has been competing in the IBU Cup, has climbed to the World Cup, and is now going to be fighting hard to make it to the top spot after having hit all 5 in the prone. Takes her time to the first shot and stand. She hits the first 2, but she misses the 3rd. The 4th goes down. The time has been adjusted. It's 9 out of 10. It was slow shooting, but controlled shooting. A 90% hit rate for Emma. And she's going to be fighting now for a very quick final lap. Elvira Öberg's time still stands with Lisa Vitozzi in second place. And the graphic showing Anastasia Merkushnia of Ukraine, who hit all of the targets in prone. And we can see the countdown now to when Elvira Öberg left the shooting range. That's already having missed 1 target, so is skiing considerably faster than Merkushnia. But a name... The first 2 go down for Merkushnia. The 3rd goes down. The 4th goes down. It looks like easy shooting for the Ukrainian as all 10 targets go down. And that will stand her in very good stead in the overall leaderboard. Julia Tannheimer, another great shot, comes in, gets the first, does not get the 2nd target, manages to get the 3rd, but it does not look like a good start for the German, as 2 of those 5 targets failed to fall. And now taking a look at the leaderboard at the end of shoot 1, Hannah Öberg is currently leading. And Sara Andersson is looking good to put herself in contention to fight against that time as Ella Halvarsson shoots quickly. 4 out of 5 in the stand, the same as she shot in prone, meaning that with her 80% today, she's going to have to fight really hard to get up there on the overall leaderboards. But we'll see her come out of the shooting range and see where she places after shoot number 2. Hannah Öberg. Elvira Öberg crossing the finish line, 21 minutes and 2 seconds, hitting 9 out of 10. As we cut to her sister Hannah Öberg, who's come out of the shooting range, hitting all 10 targets. What a great race we have had now from Hannah Öberg. She's skiing quickly, she's shooting very accurately, and now all she has to do is leave everything on the tracks. As we see her sister doubled over in pain. The shock to the system of the early season races felt by every inch of her body on this race as she gasps for air. 9 out of 10 for Elvira. Her sister Hannah getting all 10, but Sara Andersson now with 4 out of 5, putting herself in a very good position, getting all 5 targets. Her heart rate settling right down during that process, but jumping up as soon as she leaves the mats, now right up to 175 from 130 just in a matter of meters. Much happening very quickly there with this one sister finishing, the other one hitting her 10 out of 10. And I'm sorry to say that I missed Hannah Öberg's stand shooting, but Lisa Vitozzi now, having shot the same as Elvira Öberg, crosses the line, 29.6 seconds down off the Swedes' time. And she looks to be in a great deal of pain also, as is so often the case, as is always the case in biathlon. But a good start to the season, 9 out of 10. And crossing the line there behind her, Regina Ermits of Estonia. She hit all 10 targets and is 1 minute down, so a very good season opener for Regina Ermits. And Merlina Fichtner of Germany, she hit all the targets in the prone shooting. And at the European Championships in 2025 season, but that was last season, was just the most fantastic shooter, barely missing any shots. We can see that kind of form continuing as all 10 targets go down for Melina Fichtner of Germany. Her skiing not quite matching that, but Lynn Gesblom, you see in the top right of your screen, she hits all 5 targets in the prone shooting and is now dancing out of the shooting range. That's 10 out of 10 for the Swede, making her comeback with exceptional shooting. Skiing form a little bit off the pace, 43.4 seconds back, and is in a very good spot ahead of Elvira Öberg at that point, ahead of Vitozzi at that point. And although we did see a slower first lap, we are seeing perhaps a very well-paced race, and certainly a very well-shot race for Lynn Gesblom. Anastasia Merkushnia of Ukraine now, having hit all 10 targets. She is off the pace, but a very fast pace has been set by Elvira Öberg. It's somewhat a distorted finish line in the sense that so many of these biathletes will be compared to what might stand to be one of the very best times of the day with bib number 1, as Anastasia Merkushnia comes across the line 1 minute and 0 seconds, 0.8 behind the lead in 6th position. Elvira Öberg in first, Lisa Vitozzi in second, Regina Ermits in third. There is not much in it at the sharp end, and this is where we need to keep our attention. Lynn Gesblom, who is going to be really fighting to get herself a position on the World Cup. where she belongs, where she has been, and where she has had so much success, particularly in the pursuit and the 4 shooting races. Hannah Öberg now 10 out of 10, coming in towards the finish line with what is quite a remarkable time, crossing 34.9 seconds in the lead ahead of her sister Elvira Öberg. And what a start to the season for her. Every time is going to be made to look way off the pace with such good skiing and such accurate shooting from Hannah. Could we be looking at Olympic medalists here? Very likely. Hannah managing to get right up to the top form for all the big events consistently. Now turning our attention to Johanna Nordqvist of Sweden. She didn't miss anything in prone, and so far so good for stand. 10 out of 10 for Johanna Nordqvist, who gets in a little bit of a tangle, throwing the rifle onto her back. Bib number 20, and already we can see the damage that has been done by Hannah Öberg, setting such a remarkable time to this point in the race. And Sophia Schneider only missing 1 target to this point, and that was the 3rd in the stand shooting. And that's 9 out of 10. But it's interesting to see Schneider revisiting the 3rd shot there, deciding to shoot again at a missed target rather than just proceed with her rhythm. Take a look at that. 190 beats per minute for Sara Andersson. A very high pulse rate and a very difficult pulse rate to control for shooting. But these biathletes are so used to training with these heart rates, as you see it falling rapidly now. Those recovery times, a result of years of strong training, consistent training, but missing 2 out of 5 in the stand shooting for Sara Andersson. And 8 out of 10 of those targets went down, meaning that only 50 seconds is added to her tally. So she is skiing really well. Sara Andersson, you see there her heart rate climbing as she was exiting. As we see that Lene Gesblom is putting in a charge, a really strong attack and a really strong race up until this point. There's not long to go now for Lene Gesblom until she crosses the finish line. What a comeback for Gesblom, formerly Lynn Parson, and now crossing the line, 40.8 seconds down. What a race, what a comeback, and isn't that great to see? 3rd place, behind Elvira Öberg, behind Hannah Öberg. 10 out of 10 of those targets successfully went down, and only approximately, and of course this doesn't account for the difference in shooting speed, but approximately 40.8 seconds behind the incredibly fast Hannah Öberg. So that really demonstrating how fast or how good her form is. Skiing similarly to Lisa Vitozzi, who's 1 minute and 4 seconds back, almost exactly 25 seconds down, which is the time of the penalty separating them. Suzanne Kulm there, 9 out of 10. One minute and 47 seconds down after shoot number 2. So much happening, all in the blink of an eye. The race seemed to start and develop, and all the action happening in a very short, exciting burst, where we saw Hannah Öberg climb to the very top of the order in a time that is surely now untouchable, as Kristina Dimitrenko now shooting quickly, missing the 4th target of 5, hitting 9 out of 10 in total, only 25 seconds added to her time. And once again, looking at how far she is behind the leader, Hannah Öberg, a time that is somewhat distorted by the fact that Hannah has had such an unbelievably fast race. 1 minute 39 seconds down. There is no penalty loop here in this short individual, the sprint competition, meaning that the times are just added on to the results for each miss rather than a penalty loop being conducted. But let's take a look now at the sprint women's 8-kilometer result so far. We have Hannah Öberg up at the top, having missed no targets, 34 seconds ahead of Elvira Öberg, who's in second place. Lynn Gesblom is in third place, 40 seconds back. Lisa Patozzi down in fourth. Anna Magnusson, she missed 2 targets, is in fifth place at the finish line. Didn't get to see her come across the line, but a time that certainly is touchable. Johanna Nordqvist just going to fall outside of Hannah Magnusson's time, hitting all 10 targets. 1 minute and 18 seconds down off the lead. Anna Magnusson skiing very, very well. If you take 50 seconds off her time, 19 seconds down she would have been off Hannah Öberg's time. Now in terms of the Swedes finishing, because this is the season opener for the Swedish team, of course being joined by many others who are comparing themselves against the Swedes. Sara Andersson with her 8 out of 10. She's fighting her way over the top of the hill, fighting over the, or around that sweeping right-hander in towards the finish. Now fighting to resist those seconds as they climb. Halvarsson of Sweden in 8th place. And in 12th so far at the finish, Sara Andersson crossing the line 1 minute and 40 seconds down behind the lead. The top 3 performers so far: Hannah Öberg, Elvira Öberg, Lynn Gesblom, all from Sweden. And on your screen now, shooting stand is Olena Rodna of Ukraine, hitting 7 out of 10, missing 2 targets there in the stand shooting. They're shooting quickly, 26 seconds approximately, without too much wind condition to contend with, which is a rarity on a range, on this range here in Idre Fjäll, which makes it one of the most exciting ranges on the biathlon circuit. But as we see further down the order, the excitement really comes from watching how these individuals fight for the latter places, or perhaps not the top places, but what may still be for them top results. Hanna-Britta Kazik of Estonia missed 3 targets in her prone. She's currently 4 minutes and 4 seconds and counting behind, and missing 1 in the stand shooting, meaning that a total of 1 minute and 40 seconds is added to her time in this 8-kilometer race. She chucks away her glasses for this last lap. 4 minutes and 16 seconds off the lead pace. But as I was saying before, if we just look at the Swedish national team, the top 4, Hannah Öberg, Elvira Öberg, Lynn Gesblom, and that name, I must reiterate, was formerly Lynn Parsons, and we will need to become calibrated to that. And Anna Magnusson in 4th place, just in terms of the Swedes, and then in 5th place for the Swedes, Johanna Nordqvist, who hit all the targets and gets herself ahead of Ella Halvarsson in 6th. But what is also very interesting to observe is the performances from the German national team, where you have Marlina Fichtner with the best result, relying heavily on her shooting, getting all 10 targets. She finishes 1 minute and 12 seconds behind the leader. But the next best German is Julia Tannheimer, I should say, hitting 8 out of 10, so skiing quicker than Fichtner, but down in 9th at the finish line so far. One of the highest ranked performers from the German team, Selina Grosjean, is in 13th place. Again, to remind you, she finished 9th overall in the World Cup and was the 3rd under-23 biathlete of last season. That was behind Michelon and Bichard, both of France, who were fighting for that spot. They were spots that were very closely and fiercely contended for. And it's never an easy fight when it's with your teammate. There is no doubt about that. But also, an environment of competition is always bringing out motivation, but also making it easy to motivate for these biathletes. Having competitors, it really motivates you to get out of bed and do those really long, painful sessions. As we looked a little bit down the order, bib number 38 of Julia Hogelberg of Sweden. Bib number 38 of 69. So this race really is in its infancy when considering the full range of performances. And everybody is fighting for something different here. We've of course got those who are pretty much guaranteed spots on the World Cup, and I'm talking the Urbergs, who are the medalists at World Championships, Olympic medalists. And there's those who are making comebacks. And we know that not Elvira Urberg. Lynn Gesblom, she's one of those making a comeback. Anna Magnusson, always up there, always capable of World Cup wins, but not always capable of staying at the very highest level, as we see Villa Lundqvist of Sweden get underway for her race, bib number 40. Just taking a look at some of the more surprising results of today. At the finish line, we have Heidi Schwartz. She missed 4 targets, but skied very quickly, so it was only 2 minutes and 7 seconds back off the lead when all was said and done. But she did that with 4 mistakes, so 1 minute and 40 added on. So if you subtract that, she's about 27 seconds down off Hannah Urberg's time, so skiing very, very quickly relative to the Swede, who again is one of our medal contenders for the Olympics in Milano Cortina in Italy, 7th of February to the, the dates escaping my mind, 7th of February to the 22nd of February. Vitozzi having a slightly slower start to the season. Very little to glean from that fact. She had a fantastic time in the Loop 1 festival. She won both city centre races in August, that was. Races that were held together by, or put together by the IBU and all of those affiliated. We really had to do some great work to bring together such an unbelievably exciting race in the middle of a city in the Olympia Park there, where we did see Lisa Vitozzi bring it all together in the 2 races, the heat and then the final, in those super sprints. Such an exciting format, and one that one day may be seen on the World Cup. Now wearing bib number 45, we have Emilia Liska of Poland. The Polish team coming here and racing one after the other. We've got three from the Polish team starting side by side. The start order organised strategically, or I should say in a careful manner, so as to avoid any issues on the track. There isn't the biggest amount of snow on some of the areas where we have athletes coming from three different directions out of the range through the transition point and also from the start gate. But let's take a look at the finish line. Now this graphic will skip down quickly, but I'll remind you of the leader, who we see Hannah Öberg winning. So far, of course, nothing is done until it is, but I can't see anybody touching the time of Hannah Öberg at the top. Elvira Öberg in second position and Lynn Gesblom in third. And remember, at the 2.7 kilometer mark, Lynn Gesblom was 18 seconds down off the lead in terms of her ski speed. But then very little change thereafter. She just maintained, or she started out slowly, and she maintained that very same ski speed, or was at least consistent relative to that of Hannah Öberg. And I would say that that is quite likely to be something of a strategy today, bearing in mind 2.7 kilometers, losing 18 seconds, 2 kilometers, losing some 13 seconds. That implies that she paced herself very, very intelligently with her first race back. And after that point, only losing 5 seconds to Hannah Öberg, that indicates that she started slow and she built up throughout the race, arriving at the shooting range in a very, very controlled manner, managing to get all 10 targets. And look at the weight on the cheek piece, getting all of her head weight through that, looking through the sight, a slight distance between her eye and the sight, meaning that there's less light around the foresight. Getting all 10 targets, charging towards the finish line with what will be an unbelievably exciting comeback for her after a lot of trouble with her shoulder, such that she was not able to race last season. Elvira Öberg. She was fourth overall in the World Cup season last year. She came away with a gold medal at Lenzerheide at the World Championships in the mass start. And now, today, walks away with a second place in what is quite a remarkable field of competitors. That's after having missed one target. So skiing some 8 or 9 seconds slower than Hannah Öberg, and of course that's not accounting for the shooting times, which could account for all of those seconds. And here we turn our attention to your winner of the day, Hannah Öberg, who manages to claim victory with 10 out of 10 on the shooting range. She approached this race with total composure, running a process that has seen her climb to the very top of the Olympic Games. Hannah Öberg winning in the World Championships last year, or excuse me, in 2022, 2023 in Oberhof in the individual. She is no stranger to victory. And now, 30 years of age, competing this season for what she will be hoping to be an Olympic victory in as many races, quite likely the individual, as that is her favorite. But she could be walking away from Milano Cortina with many medals around her neck. But in order to achieve it, she has to think about the process, and the process was perfectly exemplified today with 10 out of 10. Great shooting, great skiing, and showing that her summer's training has been a success. And for those who have been enjoying this race so far, as we see Leen Gesblom there smiling, as she should be, getting finished up after the race. Do join us for this afternoon's men's race, which will be led by Sebastian Samuelsson, who is no stranger to victory at this event. That starts in just 1 hour 45 minutes time, at 12:30 local time. For those who are watching internationally, that's Central European time, 12:30, where we'll see Sebastian Samuelsson leading the way. And we have big names like David Zobel, Philipp Navrat of Germany, Roman Rees. Ponsaloma will be chasing him down as well. So do join us for what will be a really exciting race there. Hopefully matching the drama that we saw this morning. And we will also be keeping you updated about the races in Geilo of Norway, where the French national team will be fighting against the Norwegian national team to see how they compare in terms of form. As we turn our attention to Greta Lindqvist Seldal of Sweden. 1 minute and 22 seconds and counting at this point behind the lead. And it's a different mindset now from a spectator point of view, or even from a commentary point of view. We're looking at the times relative to the winner. And it seems to be that those are the times that matter most. But for many of these athletes, they're not seeking victory. They are trying to contend with those around them in their clubs, against other clubs, and against those who are in their category. And to see if they can make progress year on year, because after all, that is what matters most, is just progress year on year. And fundamentally, it's enjoyment. It's hard to sometimes see it as enjoyment when there's so much pressure on your shoulders to perform. And in many cases, that pressure is put on you by yourself, essentially. Expectation to be a world champion, or those daydreams of being a world champion, Olympian, can sometimes be the downfall of many biathletes who fail to see the incremental steps that enable them to get there, and instead daydream or imagine those most novel, most untouchable, the most rare moments of Olympic success. Sometimes that can be a distraction. Elsa Tånglander of Sweden now will be very much in those moments of having to focus on the process, as 2 targets go down with 4.4 seconds separating shot 1 and 2, 3 seconds thereafter separating 3 and 4, and she manages to get 3 out of 5 targets down. And I bring attention to the time between targets because it's very difficult to be consistent between the targets. But that is one aspect, or one tell of a very good shot, is to how consistent can it be between every single shot. That means the same breathing routine, the same target entry, and everything is the same. And of course, by the same, I mean in principle the same, because you can't replicate the shooting range, you can't replicate the moment, but you can replicate your approach to the range, your approach to the moment, or your approach to scenarios. Some ranges are downhill into the shooting range, some are uphill. And of course, that impacts the way that your body responds. But all those hours of training, enable these biathletes to make informed decisions, such as Ida Becken now, who is coming in and with quite a low position. We see that in contrast to Hannah Oberg's very tall position. And she manages to get only 2 out of the 5, a result that almost certainly she will not be extremely pleased with. Adding 1 minute and 15 seconds to your time is never the goal, that is for sure, but there is always the stand to regain some time. 7 out of 10, of course, being something that a lot of biathletes will walk away from a race being like, yeah, that's okay, I can take that. It's not a fantastic attitude, but also that thought, which is easy for me to say as a commentator, is actually quite toxic for the biathletes to consider, because once they have come into the prone and they start thinking about the outcome, if I hit all targets in prone, then it's not so bad. That can serve as a hindrance to performance, detracting from their ability to think about the process that enables them to hit 5 out of 5 in prone. They're just focusing their attention on the wrong thing, so avoiding those thoughts is extremely important. As Emilia Liska of Poland settles down onto the mat. A good time for her so far. She gets 3 out of 3 for her first visit to the shooting range here at the Swedish opener. She gets 5 out of 5. Good shooting from Emilia Liska of Poland, who's now skipping out of the range in what appears to be a nice, controlled but dynamic manner. And she's going to find herself a little down the order, but all the 3 Polish biathletes starting side by side, as Pilerin Vilupu of Estonia now settles down onto the mat. 1 minute 20 seconds and counting. As she settles her breathing routine leading to the first shot, which falls at 18.6 seconds. 4 seconds between the first and second shot. 3.4 to follow, 3.8 after that. It's consistent shooting, but the last shot does not go down. That's always a bitter pill to swallow for a biathlete when the final shot doesn't go down after the 4 preceding it do. That very often happens as a result of the biathlete getting overexcited about the ease by which the first 4 fall, and then the process, which is usually either trigger, breathing, or target entry, one aspect, usually exclusively being at the forefront of one's attention. When that biathlete gets distracted by the thought of, oh, this is going well, the last target tends not to fall. But of course, that is not prescriptive. That is not the way it is in every instance. So Vilupu Pilerin there, perhaps not. That might not be the reason why the last target didn't fall. But it is a common thing in biathlon for that last target not to go down as a result of the mind and not the physical process. Sigrid Hübinette of Sweden taking her time, 6.5 seconds between the second and third shots. And the last target not going down, so a little bit disappointing there as she takes her time to get up off the mat. You see the shooting range has been limited so that not all 30 targets are being used, just 20. The prone from 1 to 10 and 11 beyond is in stand, as Elsa Tonglande of Sweden now settling down for her stand shoot. Skiing well. Take 50 seconds off that. She's only 1 minute behind, that 50 seconds being 2 mistakes she made in prone. But so far, so good for stand. She hasn't missed any, 4 out of 5. And she misses the last shot, the commentator's curse, as that target does not go down. Elsa Tonglande of Sweden hitting 7 out of 10. And for those who are excited about the race to come, we have Sebastian Samuelsson, of course, leading the way out the start gates there. But we have some really exciting names, such as Lucas Hofer racing. And we have the entire German national team as well. Philipp Navrat of Germany. And they will all be getting underway in the front end of the field. But let's take one look at the, another look at the finishing results of today. Hannah Öberg in first, Elvira Öberg in second, Lynn Gesblom in third, Lisa Vitozzi in fourth place, and not skiing quite as fast as Hannah Öberg, but still having a great race. Anna Magnusson in fourth. I think that's one of the races, or one of the best performances of the day. She missed 2 after all, but equally, Ella Halvarsson of Sweden did great, but Johanna Nordqvist, she hit all the targets. 1 minute 18 seconds off the lead, and making it a little bit tricky for the selection committee. 6 spots to take out to the Olympics for the Swedish team. Elsa Tonglande capturing lots of our attention here, having hit 7 out of 10, 2 minutes 53 seconds behind the 8.7 kilometer mark. As Emilia Liska of Poland comes over the very steep, deceptively steep hill in towards her stand shooting. That's after having hit 5 out of 5 in the prone. But Germany not having the best start to the season, with Julia Tannheimer, or excuse me, Marlene Fichtner being the best performance of the day, 6th place, missing no targets, so 10 out of 10. But the next best performance from Germany was Julia Tannheimer. As Emilia Liska comes in to shoot her stand, first shot falls at 13 seconds. Nice controlled shooting from the Polish biathlete, who misses the 3rd, gets the 4th, and gets the 5th. So 90% hit rate from Emilia Liska. And Zuzana Sadoni is coming in for her first prone visit, manages to get the first 2. And then the 5th shot goes down, 4 out of 5 for Sadovini. And again, Germany, or the Germans, are not aspiring to be on top form right now. There is no doubt that the season openers are not the place for athletes to be in peak condition. And that is particularly true on Olympic season. There would be certainly no real benefit to putting a huge amount of attention into peaking in the early season, when that can serve to detract from your form at the Olympics when it matters most. And we can see the likes of Selina Grossien of Germany rising to the top of that leaderboard at the Olympic Games. Stina Nilsson, not the Stina Nilsson who came from cross country. But a lovely cable shot here as she comes into this beautiful shooting range here in Idre Fjäll, Sweden. the Dalarna county, renowned for its skiing opportunities in the winter, but in the summer, the mountain biking and trail running. As Elsa Tanglande comes in 3 minutes and 1 second behind Anna Öberg's time. That is also factoring in 1 minute and 15 seconds of penalty due to missing 3 targets. A reminder that 25 seconds is added onto everybody's time when they go around the penalty loop. And a perfect race from Hannah Öberg. 10 out of 10. What a way to start the season. And what a way to demonstrate to the world that she means business. Let's take a look at some of Hannah Öberg's best races ever. And most recently, in terms of victories at the biggest events we've got, the individual in Oberhof, and in fact, she's had 3 victories in the individual races at World Championships and Olympic Winter Games. That's Oberhof in 23, Östersund in 2019, and Pyeongchang in 2018. And many other races in other formats where she has done well at World Championships. In fact, in terms of World Championships, her only other victory outside of those is the mass start. Again, another 4 series shooting race. That was in Oberhof. That was 2023. She came away from that World Championships extremely well decorated with gold medals. But also in terms of World Championships in individual 2021, she came away with a silver medal on that occasion. Ida Bakken now coming in towards the finish line. If you're still watching the screen, putting in her final charge. Skate 3, Enkeldans, Ponorsk, as she's charging in towards the finish line. 5 minutes and 4 seconds and counting. 5 minutes, 5 seconds down off the lead. A total of 1 minute and 40 seconds added onto her time as a result of the misses, the 4 misses that she had in the shooting range. So Hannah Öberg really is a fantastic performer. But if we take a look at the sprint competitions, in terms of victories on the World Cup, she's had 3 of those, and they were in Östersund 2022, and then Kontiolahti for 2021 in the double. Well, there's 2 sprints there in the World Cup, and she won both of those. Great start to that season. Vera Edvardsson of Sweden now coming in with 1 minute 8 seconds deficit and still counting. Of course, that's the time after which the leader came out of the shooting range, not the time that they came into the shooting range. And the fastest skier, Hannah Öberg, coming out of the shooting range, 30 seconds ahead of Sarah Andersson, the second fastest after shoot 1. Quite an incredible lead just after 1 lap. 30 seconds in the lead, Hannah Öberg. But interestingly, only managing to maintain that for the rest of the race. Elvira Öberg matching her for ski speed. 4 out of 5 for Vera Edvardsson as she misses her final shot. Or perhaps, excuse me, the first shot. But 2 minutes and 24 seconds down, so approximately 1:59 seconds down if she hadn't missed. But out of the shooting range, shoot number 1. Hannah Öberg way ahead, as I previously mentioned, but Sweden take the fastest times all the way down until position number 9, where Marlene Fichtner manages to get up there and produce a result, hitting all 5 targets. And Pilarin Villepoux now with 8 out of 10, coming in towards the finish line, 4 minutes, 7 seconds down from the lead. Again, the temptation to subtract 50 seconds from people's time to glean an insight into how fast they were skiing is always there, but biathlon is biathlon because of the combination. But good shooting there from Pilarin Villepoux. It's never easy on the shooting range, and for the first race of the season, to control the nerve, to control the wind conditions. We did see a great deal of clicking when we were up close with those early starters, implying that the wind condition really did change. From the 0 to the first shoot. And now bib number 59 coming in for stand shooting. That's bib number 59 of 69, so we can expect in about 5 minutes the final shooter coming through. But it's interesting to glean insights from some of these performers now. You can see the lower abdomen contracting and expanding as she gasps for air, hitting 5 out of 10, 50% hit rate, and then stand a total of 30.2 seconds. In the past, that would have been considered very quick shooting, but now with the likes, or now with the average shooter in stand managing to get all 5 targets down at the toppest level of performance in less than 23 seconds. Biathlon is evolving. Oldal of Norway being one of those trendsetters who are completely reshuffling the way that biathlon is done, managing to hit targets in 7 seconds from rifle on the back to a successful hit in stand shooting is extremely anomalous. It's rare, but it's the kind of thing that is a shock to the system for many, but then that gradually becomes the norm over time as methods of achieving such feats become wider known, wider studied and trained, as Nora Lignell manages to get her fourth shot after having missed the first 3. It's never particularly exciting or particularly positive when the first targets fail to go down, but always positive in the sense of learning if they are able to reflect on what it was that caused or that led towards those shots and whether they were able to regain the control that they required to get the final shot. And she did. She managed to get the final 2 shots. So a lesson, an opportunity to learn from that. And that's after having hit all 5 targets in the prone. So many chances to take these races as learning blocks all the way towards the top, as Hanna Gunnari of Sweden misses 1 in the prone, 3 in the stand. She comes out of the shooting range, and you can see the contrast in terms of the speed of coming out of the range and doing the pole drills from the early starters, the World Cup starters, the Olympic medalists. And I don't say that to disparage the other biathletes. I say it as a compliment to the process of years and years of practice, how that hones your every action, your every step along the way to becoming Olympic contenders, medalist contenders. You don't get to that sharp level without refining every single step, every pole plant, every corner, every shot, every drill, removing the rifle from the back in a controlled manner, getting the elbow down, hooked up quickly, and trying to eliminate variability. The more variability, the harder it is to get the sight alignment you need to hit those targets, to shoot accurately. And accuracy is necessary, as Vera Edvarsson is going to be contending with right now as she finds her hip with her left elbow, trying to establish a rigid stand position. As the first two targets remain standing, the third falls, the fourth falls, and the fifth falls for Vera Edvarsson of Sweden. 7 out of 10, 70% hit rate. Many biathletes claim a thought, which of course I cannot impose on Vera Edvarsson, as I'm not a mind reader, that is for sure, but there can sometimes be a thought that occurs in the mind of biathletes that is something to the effect of, this is good enough. I would accept 8 out of 10. Sometimes waking up in the morning before a race being told, hey, today you're going to hit 8 out of 10. A lot of biathletes would say, I'll take that. Of course, that standard evolves over time, but it's subjective, and those kinds of poisonous thoughts are not helpful at all. Alice Pettersson, she didn't miss any targets in the prone. And will she make that happen again for Stan? Shooting left-handed, we can see a different perspective as she does a single gasp of air between each shot, meaning there's not much time between firing the round. In fact, very quick shooting, 9 out of 10, 1.6 seconds separating the fourth and fifth shot. Good shooting there for Alice Pettersson. Wearing bib number 67, meaning that there are only a few more to come through the final shooting, as Clara Sätter, I should say, of Sweden, 50% hit rate. And coming in now towards the finish line, making a final charge, using the skate 3 motion on this downhill section in towards the finish. Quite a narrow finish, as you can see the race organizers doing very well to have a 3 directions all in one strip of snow after having preserved a lot of snow from last season. But Idre Fjäll not hosting an IBU Cup race this season means that they don't need to prepare some elements of the track that they would normally be required to prepare to make the race IBU fit. Nora Lignell now coming in towards the finish. Missing no targets in the prone, missing 3 in the stand. See the biathletes leaning over, tired, exhausted, in significant pain, and sometimes wondering why we do this to ourselves. And the reason is very often because it's such an intoxicating sport, it's such an enjoyable sport, and it's such a rewarding sport. Even some moments where there is great challenge, there is also great opportunity to learn from the mistakes, to reflect on them, and that's when, especially true when these biathletes have fantastic coaches who are prepared to see every single fallen shot as an opportunity to learn something. To remind you, we have only 1 hour and 15 minutes now until the start of the men's short individual, the men's sprint, I should say. It was formerly the short individual. That will be headed by Sebastian Samuelsson, the favorite for the day. Anna Gnari now coming out, or coming towards the finish line. 6 out of 10. Crossing the line, 7 minutes and 5 seconds off the lead. A real opportunity for Hannah Gennari to consider where that would put her in the World Cup, because Hannah Öberg's race today really is akin to a top World Cup performance. Arguably a winning result, and we'll see that in a moment. Lisa Vitozzi, 1 minute 4 seconds off that leading time. But a very quick race. And a great opportunity for many of those biathletes around her to reflect on how they compare. Each year being able to measure that difference. Each race being able to measure the progress. And what a brilliant opportunity to see this season opener televised internationally for the first time. As we look down, the Ukrainians finishing in the top 20 of the finishing order. Greta Game of Estonia, the Estonians there littering the top 30. Now 62 have finished this race so far, with only 5 remaining. And for those of you who have stayed with us thus far, I thank you for watching. And I'm very excited to say that the men's race is only 1 hour away. To be precise, Central European time, 12:30 is the start time. 1 hour 12 minutes until the first starter of this Swedish season opener. Season premiere. And the last racers now coming through the forest here in Idre Fjäll in this incredibly laid out track, despite there having been very little by way of natural snow so far. You can still see the winter scenes surrounding the track, with a light dusting of snow, which has been sprinkling throughout the lead up to this race. But it's been warm temperatures, a little bit of rain that's been casting some doubt on the quality of the snow, but that doubt was misplaced, because here it is in beautiful condition. And Alice Pettersson, who will be delighted with her shooting today, missing only 1 target, hitting 9 out of 10, 7 minutes and 10 seconds down behind the lead, Hannah Öberg. Her sister, of course, only 34.9 seconds behind. And so thank you to those who have watched this absolutely fantastic race that was headed and won by Hannah Öberg, and her in second place Elvira Öberg, and perhaps one of the most exciting performances by Lynn Gessblom, hitting 10 out of 10 and getting herself back up to the top. It's been a real pleasure. I've been Scott Dixon and very much enjoyed talking you through these results, as we can see some of the Germans and Ukrainians coming in 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, and the Swedes then just trickling out of the 20th to 30th spots, or throughout. Estonia made their presence known. Aliona Makarova of Moldova doing well. Equally of Denmark, we had Isho Rochal, and her name has just disappeared off screen, so I wasn't able to finish it, but Lots of competitors coming to test themselves against what is one of the highest standard season openers that there is. And of course, today we know about the races from Geilo, where we'll be able to see how the Norwegians and French fared. Another very high level season opener. And 68 finishers have now come through the finish line. And a very exciting race today, and thank you so much to everybody for watching this race. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk you through all of these events as they unfolded. And finally, just to remind you that at 12:30 Central European time, we have the men's season opener headed by Sebastian Salmason, and that is starting in just 1 hour and 10 minutes. Thank you for joining us, and I'm looking forward to seeing you and talking you through those events as they unfold in just over an hour's time. Bye for now.
Ja, hörni, det finns ju en lägre reklam.